right, well, good morning. I'm Chris Harth. I'm the director of the new Institute for Learning, Teaching, and Engagement here at St. Andrews, and have been working over the last 8 years in our global studies programs and languages, wearing a number of hats, as most people do at independent schools, and have been able to transition over the course of the last year into this new role, which is focusing more broadly on our educational program. And today I'm going to be working with Patrick Taylor, our Director of Communications, to highlight some of the distinguishing strengths of St. Andrews Episcopal School. And what I'd like to do to start out with today, though, is to have you all identify, we get a little coffee going in the background, which will be nice for later, to have you all identify first on your smartphones on a piece of paper, if you have, a smartphone? If you've got a phone or something, I'd like you to do independent. I want you to write down, or thumb in as the case may be, text to yourself, what you think are, and it can be just the single most important strength, the defining feature, and I would put it in one of three terms. One would be, why did you choose to send your child here, children? Second one would be, and you can pick whichever one you want to do. Why do you keep your kids here and continue to make the investment in their education at St. Andrews? And or third, what would you tell a friend about St. Andrews and why you think they should consider St. Andrews? And this is not, don't worry about sentences and structure, just a couple of ideas, because we're going to talk about a handful of those what we think are our distinguishing strengths today, and want to see how that fits with what you all are doing. Are you ready? Have we got at least a couple down? Yes, we do. All right, so in the marketing pieces that we've done, there are a range of strengths that come out. And we'll go ahead, there's going to be 10 that I'm going to talk about today, and we're going to walk through each one of these individually. But it's broad, they're comprehensive, some of them are very particularized, some of them are going to be things that everybody knows about, some are going to be pieces that we're developing even more right now. And what I'd like to do is just kind of walk through the 10 features that we have, and they focus on the academic piece, they focus on our students, they focus on our faculty, the strength of our community, the approaches that we've taken to service, the broad holistic approach that we take in education, the new Institute for Learning and Teaching, our college placement, and the opportunities that our students have, both here at St. Andrews and beyond, broadly defined. So let's walk through those. First, and in terms of the marketing research that we've done, and one of the pieces that we hear all the time is the strength of our academic program. Unsurpassed academic excellence in the state of Mississippi. How many of you had that? Okay, a couple. And we'll go through a little quiz and see. I mean, just in terms of it, was that one of the ones that kind of held you? And it's, and we'll have a little bit of an image that goes with it. The piece that's up here are the different AP scores that we have from the students who are in public schools or in other private schools across the state of Mississippi. And there's a clear difference. But it's really the engagement that we have. It's the challenging curriculum. It's the engaging pedagogies. It's the fact that we're looking to meet kids, our students, where they are, and to help them grow and learn as much as possible. And no one does that. Nobody can challenge students better than we can in terms of being able to do that. The courses that we offer, the 20 AP courses that we offer, are balanced with an array of real-world learning opportunities, classes across the disciplines in bioethics, in contemporary issues, in environmental science, where our students are actually being able to wrestle with real-world problems and to apply what they're learning and not just take information in. And that's one of the things that we're really focusing on as a school, is developing new skills, global literacies, global competencies, the skills that will help them survive and succeed as adults as we move forward with it. We've got the highest percentage of kids who are national merits. Roughly a fifth of our kids are recognized by the National Merit Corporation every year. And there's no school that has a stronger showing in that regard. Next one. Talented students pursuing their passions. So it's about, we're here for our students. This is, it's one of the nice things about schools. We're not a teacher's college. We're not a business per se. We're a nonprofit, right? And we are here for students. And to help students learn and grow and develop is at the heart of what we're doing. And our students are the ones, are really the end product. And for our students to be able, and our students come in all different shapes, sizes, they've got different talents, they have different interests, they have different passions. The idea of St. Andrews is to have them be able to identify those and then to be able to run as far and as fast as they can. And it may be in service, it may be in research, it may be in a particular academic discipline, it may be in athletics, it may be in the arts, they may be dancers. Ideally, that we're cultivating the array of talents, though, and this is going to, we're going to talk about this holistic approach as well, but the array of pieces, their character and the spiritual piece, the artistic, the athletic, the academic, right? And developing a whole child. It's the ideal of kind of citizen servant leader that we're looking for. How many of you had our students? Right? World-class faculty. Now, how many of you had this one? Okay. Talented, experienced, caring, passionate about what they do. Our faculty are, now, the school exists to support the faculty who are here to help nurture the students. That's the kind of the trifecta of this. Our faculty come from all over the world. We've got new hiring practices. We've developed a new set of characteristics of excellence for our faculty that our faculty develop, which highlight, there are 17 characteristics that we identify as being most important for our faculty, and at the heart of that is demonstrating the same kind of characteristics. The pursuit of excellence, the flexibility, the kind of open-mindedness that we're looking to cultivate in our students. And our new hiring practices, really every position that we have, what we're doing is we're recruiting not just locally and not just on a regional basis, but nationally and even internationally. One of the people that, and this is a good story, one of the people that we did recruit in our languages were one of the places where we developed this new hiring approach. And the idea was to have people who are native speakers of the languages being balanced with people who are non-native speakers, so that it gives a different approach to it. Senor Tokarski teaches Spanish in the on the North Campus in the upper school, and he actually teaches Spanish and German, and those are his second and fourth languages. He speaks Polish as well, that's his native language, and English was his third language, and he's now in the process of learning Chinese, and will be going to China this summer on one of our exchange programs, and will be spending the rest of the summer there developing his fifth language. This is the kind of cosmopolitanism that we want to have in front of our students, working with our students, and setting up. Not everybody's going to do it. He's a gifted linguist. But we want to bring in the very best faculty to have our kids engaged and inspired by them. Artistic and athletic opportunities. How many have something about the arts or athletics? Okay. So it's a two-pronged approach that we have. And one of them that you're going to see in the arts is about, everybody's involved with arts. Everybody's going to be involved with athletics in some capacity. We've got a new health and wellness curriculum on the North Campus. We've got programs in the lower school and in the middle school where everybody's participating. The same thing holds for the arts. Arts are not an optional piece of this. This is where you develop creativity. It's where you develop the collaborative skills. It's where you develop leadership skills. On the fields, on the stage, you're working with other people. And it's not just in the context of a classroom. These are invaluable parts of our educational experience here at St. Andrews. And when we're talking about the arts, in the upper school, we have a 3-year arts requirement. And you can fulfill it in the visual arts, you can fulfill it with speech and debate, you can do the performing arts, wide range of opportunities, but everybody's doing at least 3 years of that. And that's, again, we're trying to think about the skills that will serve our students best as they leave St. Andrews, and creativity and expressiveness, and those collaborative leadership skills are invaluable. Our programs, our artistic programs, are recognized widely on a state and regional and national basis. The same thing holds for our athletic programs.
Because I think it's important to mention that the artistic opportunities begin in the early education days, and every child is on stage performing in front of people from pre-K4 and pre-K5 all the way through grade 6. And then in 7 and 8 it becomes more of an option when they pursue the more major roles and more major.
Where everybody's involved. And the same thing holds with the athletics and the opportunities that are available. Thank you, Doctor. And the athletic piece is similarly integral to what we're doing here. 80% of the students in grades 7 through 12 are participating in interscholastic sport. And the kids that are not participating are engaged in our new health and wellness curriculum. We've won I think the All Clarion Ledger All Sports Award 20 of the last 2 years, and the last 15, and the last 5 when we moved up to the more challenging 3A level. We've got won state championships, district championships, and the like. We offer a wide array. It's like the courses that we offer. On one hand, the artistic opportunities, the athletic pieces, as much as you want to do. We started, it was the first soccer program in the state, the first lacrosse program in the state. You want to do something else? Great, let's have at it. And let's see let's have the talents and passions of our kids and our faculty, and let's run as fast as we can. Commitment to service in our communities, plural communities, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but the commitment to service, again, is an integral part of what we're doing here. And one of the questions we like to ask our students is, all these talents, all the passions that you have, what are you doing with them? And what are you going to do with them? It's great to have these wonderful accomplishments, you're doing well, you've got these talents, to what end? And to encourage our students to really think broadly about how they can, this notion of servant leadership, how they can identify opportunities that are not being realized, needs that are not being met, and then to step forward and to work with others to help realize those needs. And the idea of communities, not just one, right? And we have this, and we'll talk in a minute about this global notion, but it's not just our local community, it's not just being a force in your neighborhood, it's not just being a resource in the state and being able to help contribute on multiple levels, that we want them to think nationally, we want them to think regionally, we want them to think globally. Not one or the other, which we're going to talk some more about. In the upper school, it's 100 hours of service that our students do, and we've structured it so that they have to develop, they've got to spend more time, increasingly more time at an establishment so that they actually develop the relationship, so that they're not just checking a box. In the middle school, working backward, we've now set up middle school service days, where there's 2 service days per year. They go to 2 different places in the context of that, and over the 4 years, they'll have exposure to 8 different service opportunities, so when they get to the upper school, that they can make more informed choices about where they'd like to serve and with whom that they'd like to serve. In the lower school, the whole idea is providing them with greater awareness of the needs and the opportunities that they have. And we're doing it's more on a grade level basis, but one of the threads in the cool service pieces that we have is with Heifer. And so the Heifer International starts here in the lower school, and we've got students now trying to raise money to provide, we're trying to build an ark. And with animals, different animals for each level. Same thing is going on in the middle school. It's a capstone experience for our 8th graders who go to Heifer, and then we actually put those ideas into practice in the upper school with service opportunities and grants for our students to be able to travel to different parts of the world to serve in different communities. And the only piece that we stipulate is that it has to be service-oriented for these student grants, and we want you to, when you go and serve someplace else, we want you to come back here and do the same kind of service in this community, so that we don't lose sight of our local neighbors as we're broadening our horizons. Who had service? Anybody? Okay, sure. Next one, local orientation. This is distinguishing, right? And so this is, and it's nationally recognized, and this idea of a network of partnerships. Networks are kind of at the heart of what we're thinking about, how we can go ahead and maximize our leverage and our resources is by working with others. And we want to set that example for our students and for our faculty. The partnerships that we have, and we've got a list of them over here, are extensive. 9 partner schools around the world. We've got 15 more partnerships with local schools. We're a founding member of a consortium of institutions of higher learning in Mississippi that are bringing students and faculty in from all over the world. We partner with literally dozens of nonprofits where our students are going out and serving and learning simultaneously. Learn and serve at the same time. And this is at the heart of what we're trying to do. It's the same piece that we were talking about earlier about the applied learning, where it's not simply a matter of getting this knowledge and then amassing that, it's actually getting it and being able to understand it and then starting to apply it. This is the kind of the image that we've used, these nesting dolls, for this local notion. And so if you understand, what we were talking about, if this is an individual, it's not reflective. If this is an individual, individuals have multiple, we all have multiple identities. So the question, it's one of those great questions that we get when I first came to Mississippi, people are like, where are you from? And well, that's a complicated question in some ways. And really, we're all from multiple places. Right? We're in Jackson, so I live in Jackson, which is in Mississippi. It's a nested notion, right? And which is in the United States, and where the United States is part of a planet that we share with 7.5 billion other people. But the idea of being citizens of multiple communities at the same time. You've got keys to your neighborhood, right, and your house, and you've got neighbors. You've all got, most people here have got a Mississippi driver's license. You may have an American passport, and for one reason or another, and for better or worse, there are no options for us to escape the planet that we now share with 7. It'll be 8 billion people that we'll share it with by 2030, which is when our pre-K kids are going to be graduating, and by the time that they're in their prime working years in 2050, there'll be 9 billion other people here. And we want them to be able to work with the 3 million people in Mississippi, the 300 or 400 million people, because it'll grow by another 100 million people in the United States by that point, and the 8 or 9 billion other people that they're going to be sharing the planet with. And that's critical. It's not one or the other. A holistic and individualized approach to education. It's both, and so we're going to talk a little bit about both one of those. Holistic, we've already hit on some of those threads. It's not just the academic piece, as strong as that is. It's not just the arts. It's not just athletics. It's not just service. It's all of those pieces together, looking at the child as a whole. It's an individualized and increasingly personalized approach that we're taking. All of our, we've got 1,165 kids at the school, and each one of them is different. Each one of them comes to us at a different stage. Each one of them progresses through their development at different levels, different paces, with different interests, different learning styles and preferences, and the idea is for us to be able to meet them where they are and to help each one of them grow on their trajectories as best that we can and to serve them. That's the basic principle of this. The spiritual piece is different, and it's different in this area, and it's different at this school, and it's integral to, again, what we're doing. We've just come out of Big Chapel, they've got Little Chapel here, we've got chapels on both campuses through all 3 divisions. We've got a religious education piece that we have in the middle school. We offer electives in the upper school for students to be able to explore particular facets of their religions. And be able to, when Tim Alford was teaching in our middle school, he taught a class in religions of the Middle East and took students to the Middle East to be able to explore those things firsthand, which is fantastic. But the idea, again, is part of our Episcopal tradition, and there are 3 tenets that we really want to emphasize about the essence of this, and it's part of our mission as a school. And the first one is being open-minded and inclusive in what we do. It's at the heart of it. A second one is questioning and critical thinking, and that's good, it's okay. The third one is a service to a greater good. And again, that's coming back to the question of how do we use our talents. And one of our favorite chapel songs is, you know, not going to put a bushel over it. We're going to go ahead and let our light shine. 8, diverse and inclusive community. How many of you have this one? Yeah. It's as diverse as a school as there is in the state. It's a part of our mission statement, again, in the first clause, to nurture a diverse community in the Episcopal tradition and the idea of inclusivity. This is not a place of tolerance per se. It's a place where we celebrate diversity. Diversity is a strength. The more perspectives, the more, and the variety of perspectives that you have, those become assets. This is it's the basic notion behind crowdsourcing. More people thinking about things and bringing different talents. With 9 billion other people on the planet, when our kids are going to be in their prime working years, and 90% of them coming from what is currently the developing world, and only a quarter of the people now having any working knowledge of English whatsoever, we want our students to be able to work with and to collaborate and learn from people from different backgrounds, different cultures, with different interests. It's essential. The flags, and we have worked through different sequencing of flags as we do this. 40 different countries of birth in our community, more than 40 in our parents, students, and faculty. We have, roughly speaking, a quarter of our students are students of color. Roughly a quarter of our students receive some form of financial aid, And it's important to note that those are not those two sets of quarters are not necessarily the same. And so that the idea is to make St. Andrews accessible. The idea is also for us to recognize the strength that flows from diversity and that better prepares our kids for their future. 9. New Institute for Learning, Teaching, and Engagement. Oh, kind of put a surprise that that's on the list. Nobody else has it. What we're doing, and I'm wearing the fancy badge that says that I'm the director of that, so I'm going to go ahead and just talk for a second about it. We've been engaged in the community for years. It's been an integral part of what we're doing. We've been a progressive institution looking to advance education both here at St. Andrews and in the state for decades. That's why we were founded, that's what we're doing. What we're doing now is just institutionalizing that. We're structuring it a bit more so that we can make manifest the school's commitment to that. And the idea is both to promote and support educational excellence at this school on both campuses for all of our kids, and to have this school serve as a resource for educational excellence for the larger community, or communities, we stay with that. And we're going to be doing that through a range of programs, teaching fellowships and internships, professional development programs that are not just for our faculty, but for faculty across the region. We've done some of this in the past with a partnership with the University of Mississippi Medical Center, where we're helping to train STEM teachers. In our new Gray Science Center. We're also doing it in the context of a new math institute that we're going to be launching this coming summer with Phillips Exeter Academy, and training math teachers from across the region. And this is going to be, you're going to be hearing more about this in the months and years to come. It's instrumental. And I may have had, that's actually a picture of the faculty from last summer's Summer Research Institute that were here, and they came from schools. Literally from schools across the region, and we've been doing that for the last couple of summers, and we're going to be doing it again this year, and we're looking to expand it. The last one, boundless opportunities beyond St. Andrews. How many of you have this? So it's college placement, again, unsurpassed. And we're not going to say that there isn't, that we're the best. We're going to say that there isn't anybody that's providing more opportunities for their kids to be able to pursue their passions. Colleges, careers, citizenship. And the basic principle behind the college placement program is we want to open as many doors as possible. I'll say that again, as many doors as possible. We're going to have 40 to 50% of our kids, depending on the economics, depending on the class, again, depending on the individual kids that compose the class, staying in state. So 40 to 50% on a matter of principle. When the recession hit, we had a higher percentage of kids staying in state. We have kids going to big schools, small schools, urban schools, rural schools, really a very wide range. In the last 5 years, you can see the column on the left has the schools where where most of our students have gone. In terms, that's an ordering of from the top at the University of Mississippi down to Tulane, and then some other schools where multiple attendees have gone over the last 5 years. And the basic principle again here is one of nurturing our students, supporting them on their path. There's no one size, no that fits all, right? And we want to find our kids, help them find themselves, and then step confidently into the future with the skills and knowledge and perspectives and character traits that they've developed here. Those are our 10. That we've hit hopefully right quick. And what I'd like to do, if we can, is what are the other ones that you all had? We'll take questions and the rest. But what were some of the other pieces that you all had identified that we might not have? And this was, again, I didn't talk about a robotics program, we didn't talk about technology, we didn't talk about particular pieces that we're doing and that we started. We had the first wireless system, we had the first robotics program, we had the first Chinese program. Other people are doing those things now. And so I didn't talk specifically about those as defining characteristics, even though they were at that point. Yes, ma'am?
I have one that's less tangible. You hit on it a little bit with the teachers, but I think the teachers also really care about the children.
Yeah.
And that's huge to me. I mean, that's a lot of why we would stay, is what I put. And then on top of that, part of that is just the community feel of the school. I think is huge.
And I think, Margie, as an alum,
yeah, that helps.
And I think what we can all agree on is there's all this, then there's the intangible. I mean, there's the X factor of St. Andrews. which you feel when you're on the campus, when you're walking through the halls, when you don't see the locks on doors, when you see the respect that how the kids treat one another, how the kids treat adults, how the adults treat the kids. There's it's dignified, and it's nice, and people are kind, and it's not across the board, but it's a defining characteristic of St. Andrews.
And really, particularly distinguishing if you think about the kind of modes and mores that are prevalent among adolescents and high school age kids elsewhere. It's not something that you find every place. It's one of the things we have to kind of gear our kids up for, and to say you can't leave like your wallets and purses and computers out as you head off to other schools. The honor code, that we have, and that everybody adheres to it. It started again from the time that you toddle in it through to the time that you matriculate out at 18.
In an alum survey, we had a young woman say that St. Andrews did not prepare her for college because she couldn't leave her laptop in her purse out of Washington. And that was, she wasn't prepared to function in that community.
Others we should consider. It's the reason, though, that we say to people, you should come and visit. Come and visit and spend a day on our campus. We want our kids, we want prospective families to see it, we want parents to see it, we want children to experience it and to have the day. And we want them then to want to stay. That's go ahead, get engaged, have some fun. I'm going to be shadowing pre-K4 class today, and my experience with pre-K3 was I would happily trade in my blazer and badge to be able to spend the day with our faculty and with our kids, to be able to be experiencing it. Other ones? More questions? Well, I'm happy to stay and talk and a little bit more if you'd like. So thank you very much for coming in this morning.
Chris, may I just add an additional opportunity that we are working on for this year, just to be able to be here at the school and just wonder and see what we're doing, what the special areas are doing. In addition to the 2 open houses that we started last year or year before last, a holiday and a spring open house when there's no program, it's come get a cup of coffee and just be here for an hour or so. And also after you come to your child's play, and grandparents perhaps come, feel free to stay and just wander and just be here for a while. So just kind of spread the word among your friends that we've got those opportunities this year, because it really is pretty neat just to kind of be here. I love it every day.
Thank you so much.